Greetings, YouTube. A friend of mine asked me through Instagram the other day if I had taken a look at 5th edition, and I haven't. As I told him, and I'll now say it to you, I know it's petty of me, but since 4E came out, Wizbro can kiss my grits. He is really happy with 5th edition. Cool, happy, game on. And he said that he felt that it harkened back to some elements of AD&D, and that made it about adventuring. That he felt that 5th edition reached back to an era when the game was about adventuring. And I started thinking about what he said. And I'll be sending this to probably to him as well. And for the life of me, I can't think how AD&D was well suited to adventuring any more than any other system out there. I played a hell of a lot of AD&D. 1st edition and 2nd edition. A decade of it. Like, every week. Sometimes multiple times a week. I played a hell of a lot of that game. That system was burned into my brain at one point. I didn't need the books anymore. And I loved it. But when I finally got to the point of looking at 3rd edition and 3.5, I saw a system that was more consistent, that was cleaner, that had more internal structure in a manner that I liked. Yes, it did make Magic far more industrial, and I loved it. AD&D was chaos. There were so many conflicting rules and systems in there. Not to mention the psionics was horrible. You couldn't really make magic items consistently. It was all mamby-pamby, wishy-washy things. One GM would rank something as being very simple, and the same GM, another GM could rank that same process as being very complex. I like consistency. I like knowing that everyone is looking at literally the same page in the book, and that we all are basing our decisions off the same material. It's why I liked 3.5. I felt it was far more consistent, and it was closer to anything I wanted for D&D until Pathfinder came along. And I think it's an improvement on 3.5. Pathfinder has often been referred to as 3.75, and I can understand why. But beyond that, I began to think about the ideas, how does a system aid a person, or a GM and the players in their game, adventure more than another system? Because I feel that adventuring is a nebulous term, and it's very much a style. It's how you decide to play the game. I know people that I've talked to through the old D&D news group who have run an entire campaign and essentially never left a single city. Their game was completely political, completely thieving and deals and politicking and things like that, and they loved it. And there would be people who would look at that and say, well, that's not adventuring. So I find the idea of what is adventuring being very subjective. And I can't fathom how any system helps or hinders your ability to achieve that end. If you want to adventure, however you define adventure, you can do it with any system. And I can't figure out how AD&D or 5th edition would aid that. And I'm not trying to be a jerk here to my friend or anybody else. I don't get it. That's a style. And style has nothing to do with system in my book. So I'm throwing this out here for folks. I really want to know, do you think AD&D, and from what my friend says, its descendant, 5th edition, aids in adventuring? Do you know any system that you feel really helps put a party and a GM into a position where adventuring is just super easy? It puts you in the fast lane, if you will. Or do you think that it's system neutral? Whether you choose to adventure is up to you, and how you define adventure is up to you. And as long as everybody's having fun, nothing else matters. So let's talk about adventuring and how a system could help or hinder that. Because I frankly can't see how a system helps or hinder that. That's up to the GM and their players. It's up to them how they choose to use the toolbox they've been handed. And the selection of tools, in my mind, has no impact on that whatsoever.